Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Now let me ask a couple more questions. We all know that in pressure cooker, water boils at a higher temperature. Or if you go to a hill station, these are classic questions you have studied all your school life. Water boils at a lower temperature. Can you all correlate to what we discussed right now? So everybody can correlate the condition inside a pressure cooker? The stuff is at a higher pressure. So if pressure is high, what is going to happen? What does high pressure mean in terms of the molecules? They come closer. Very good. So if they come closer, we have seen that the internal potential energy is a function of 1 by r to the power 6, right? So less intermolecular space. No, repulsion is not the thing. The attraction increases. Ayush. Essentially r reduces, therefore the attraction increases. So if the attraction increases, then what is going to happen? If attraction increases, then your potential energy increases, right? Don't use terminology like break, Maurya. It's terminology like overcome is much better. So the potential energy increases. So if the potential energy now increases, in order to overcome that enhanced potential energy, you have to supply or you have to increase the kinetic energy more in order to make the stuff boil, right? So what is the consequence of that? Consequence of that is your kinetic energy requirement increases. And if your kinetic energy requirement increases, then the associated temperature requirement increases. Therefore, the boiling temperature, the apparent boiling temperature increases. Same thing happened, yeah. Same thing happens when you go, let's say to a higher altitude. What happens? There the atmosphere is rarefied. Therefore, the pressure is less. Pressure on the molecules in the liquid state is less. So what is the consequence of reduced pressure on these molecules? Consequence of reduced pressure on the molecules is the intermolecular spacing increases, right? They are under less normal stress from outside. So the intermolecular space, if it increases, then the internal potential energy reduces. And if internal potential energy reduces, you do not need that much amount of kinetic energy to attain. I mean, it sort of starts to boil even at a lower level of kinetic energy, which is associated with lower temperature. Therefore, you achieve boiling at a reduced temperature, right? So yeah, it's clear to all. Now my question is, the prelude to whole thing is 1 hour and it took up the whole class, doesn't really matter. Now my question is about the concept of critical temperature. So everybody understood what is critical temperature, or anybody has any doubt? If I'm assuming there, I had received at least 5 or 6 messages offline outside the group that they were not very comfortable with the concept of critical temperature. So what happens in critical temperature? Critical temperature is that temperature of the phase diagram. Let me draw the phase diagram. So it is that part of the phase diagram above which you cannot liquefy a gas whatever pressure you apply. So can you correlate what is happening? Essentially, we just now understood with the example of this pressure cooker we gave that if you increase pressure, the intermolecular interaction reduces. But then as one of your friends started saying that if you apply pressure, he thought that the repulsion increases. In fact, that is exactly the case. If you increase the pressure initially above the atmospheric pressure, first the intermolecular interaction starts to reduce, right? The intermolecular is not interaction, the intermolecular spacing starts to reduce, right? But then you keep on compressing it more and more. What happens? If you keep on compressing it more and more, you are pushing the molecules so much that they now come very close to each other, and then beyond that pressure, now the orbitals or the electron clouds are going to overlap. So by applying the pressure, now you are creating an opposite situation. Because of this very strong repulsion, you may actually trigger. So this is the problem of enhancing pressure monotonically, right? You can increase the pressure, the internal potential energy will increase to some extent, but it will sort of saturate, it will attain a maxima. It will not increase beyond that level. Now, what is liquefaction of gas? Liquefaction of gas is, first you take a gas, you apply extremely high pressure. So what do you do by applying extremely high pressure? By applying this high pressure, you are actually bringing these gas molecules close to each other. And once the gas molecules are close to each other, the intermolecular spacing is adequately reduced. Then what happens is there is adequately high amount of potential energy. Because in the gaseous phase, for example, real gases like oxygen, nitrogen, there is no internal potential energy at all. I talked in the previous class, we talked that what is an ideal gas, for example, its entire internal energy is made up of kinetic energy only. There is no potential energy. And then from the class, I got the beautiful answers like noble gases and all that. But then I also highlighted that all the noble gases are also monoatomic gases, right? These are the best candidate examples for ideal gases. Why? Because if you have a monoatomic gas, there is also no axis for vibration and rotation. And therefore, there is no kinetic energy. There is no potential energy, sorry. There is no potential energy. And what is the immediate consequence? Consequence is the entire internal energy landscape is dominated by the kinetic energy of the molecules. So now what you are doing, you are applying pressure to increase the reduce the intermolecular spacing, and therefore increase the affinity between them, or the strength of the intermolecular. I did not get the question. I mean, Sanskar, I will appreciate if you don't interrupt me abruptly like this when I'm in the middle of a discussion. I will take up your question. Okay. So you are compressing first. So you are enhancing the strength of the intermolecular interaction. That is the first thing you are doing. And now, on the other hand, so you need to understand that most of the commercial gas liquefaction plants, they run at very low temperature. Why they run at very low temperature? I guess the class will now understand that as you, apart from applying pressure, right? If you now also reduce the temperature, what you are doing? You are actually doubly punishing the molecules. Firstly, you are confining them so that you force them to interact with their neighbors. And number two is, now as you reduce the temperature, you are sort of clipping their wings, because you are reducing the KBT component. So you are reducing the kinetic energy, that they cannot move, and now they are close to each other, therefore they liquefy. Is it clear to all? This is how the liquefaction plants run. Yeah, low kinetic energy, absolutely. This is how liquefaction plants run. So liquid oxygen, liquid nitrogen, they're all produced at low temperature and high pressure. Now, on the other hand, if you are applying pressure and you are a completely mad scientist, you want to discover real science and understand what is going on, you try to keep on increasing the temperature. Then what will happen? For a particular material, there will be a critical temperature above which the kinetic energy of the molecules will be so high. There will be a critical temperature, there will be a temperature above which the kinetic energy of the molecules will become so high that whatever amount of pressure you apply from outside, right, the strength of the kinetic internal potential energy can never match the strength of the internal kinetic energy. Why? Because number one, we understand potential energy is not a function of temperature. The only way you can enhance the potential energy is by applying pressure. That you are doing. But then there is also a limitation. If you increase the pressure too much, then you are sort of crossing the limit of the attractive regime, and you are now pushing the molecules almost on the verge of the repulsive regime. So increasing pressure does not bind them together anymore, right? On the other hand, you have increased the temperature. So high temperature means high kinetic energy, right? And potential energy has saturated. Therefore, above that particular temperature, you cannot have a situation where the magnitude of the potential energy will exceed the magnitude of the kinetic energy, and therefore you can never liquefy a gas, and that is that liquefy a gas, and therefore that is the temperature which is called the critical temperature. Is it clear to all? There was a question from Sanskar Singh: at the same temperature and pressure, would sublimation of ice or evaporation of water happen quicker? Well, unfortunately, at the same temperature and pressure, both the phenomena will not happen together. If you look at this phase diagram, which is the phase diagram of ice, and if you agree that sublimation indeed takes place here below the triple point, right? It's for a temperature range or a pressure range or whatever, and evaporation of water, sublimation of ice, and evaporation of water. Evaporation of water will be taking place somewhere over here. So it's a well thought out question, but there is a problem in framing of the question, because you cannot have both the phenomena at same T and P. And so I can't compare. Sanskar, are you clear? It's a good question, no doubt. So we have talked about the energy, internal energy of a system now. What can be the other form of energy? The other form of energy of a system is energy in transition. So what is energy in transition? Well, sounds great, but this is nothing but work done and heat transfer. Acha, there was a question regarding ideal process and reversible process. One of you asked me. I must be honest that I offhand did not know exactly what's the answer. Yes, they are identical. Because only a quasi-steady state process or quasi-equilibrium process or an ideal process is a process you can traverse back and forth. Why you can traverse the process back and forth? Why only this process you can traverse back and forth? Why not another process? Both in thermodynamic equilibrium, that actually there is something more to it. What it means is only for an ideal process, you know the condition or the state of the intermediate steps. Yes, Sneh, you are very close. You not only know the path, but you know the state variables along the path. For any other process, you do not know that. And if you do not know that, you cannot really know whether you are matching it up or not. Therefore, any non-ideal process is also irreversible, because you cannot traverse back, right? You cannot traverse back the same path. Understand from a very simple point of view. So if you are blindfolded and told that you travel from point A to point B, right? And then you reach point B, and then you are again blindfolded and told you now go back from B to A. Can you traverse the same path? That is irreversible. You can traverse the same path while returning only when you know the path that you have traversed while going, right? Not a full-fledged example, because there is no concept of equilibrium over here, but you can traverse a path reversibly, you can follow the identical track only if you know how you have gone from point 1 to point 2, right? So if you know that, you can traverse it back. So therefore your movement forward and backward becomes reversible, identical. But if you have been blindfolded and told to go from one point to the other, and then again you are blindfolded and told go jao, abhi wapas jao, you cannot ever match the two paths. Why? Because you just don't know how you went. Similarly, for an irreversible process or a non-equilibrium process, the intermediate states are not known, and therefore you cannot traverse it back. This is a simple answer. Okay. We have almost run out of time, but doesn't matter. We still have some time to discuss. So work in transition means, the energy in transition essentially means that the energy transfer, everybody knows it actually, working makes my life easier. Energy transfer during a process. We now know what is a process. So either the system does some work or some work is done on the system, or there is transfer of heat. Now let us quickly look into some forms of work. Again, we know it all. It's just a 5-minute revision. What are the different forms of work? Of course, mechanical work. And now the class knows. Odrija, thank you. Now the class knows that, understanding irreversibility is not that easy. Many people talk about reversible, irreversible, this, that, but very few people understand what is reversible. It is because a process becomes irreversible because of the fact that you do not know the intermediates, and therefore you cannot claim whether it is reversible or not. You might be traversing the same path, but with authenticity, you cannot claim whether you have done the correct thing. Yes, Sneh and Vivek, let me just finish. So mechanical work, the moment I say mechanical work, it's so-called the PV work, you all say. And now, based on the concept that you have developed, you now know that in order for a system to have PV work, there must be some requirement of the system geometry itself. It must either be flexible or it must be having a movable part. If a system is completely rigid, it cannot perform mechanical work. We all know that, right? This is the additional input now we are going to have, additional knowledge base we are going to have, right? And then we also know that if the system does work, so work is essentially, mechanical work is essentially state 1 to state 2. FDS, we all know. And then power is, we all know what is power, it's work per unit time. We know everything. We also know that if system does work, it's negative. And if work is done on the system, it's positive. Any idea why? I think the class knows. If not, I mean, the whole class should be able to tell it now. Is it a convention? What is yes? It's a convention. Sridhar, very good. No, it's not a convention. Yes, Shaman also correct. So these are the minor concepts we are going to build. It's not a convention. If you feel it's a convention, yes, now the correct answers are pouring in. This is actually related to the change in the internal energy of the system. Now, please stop, Aryan. I run this kinetic energy increases, decreases. It's not a question of kinetic energy. It's a question of the total energy of the system. Oh, momentum transfer. Come on, yaar, ruko bhaiya. You don't know, you don't probably understand very well what is momentum transfer. You're just thinking, because to 50 years I am now teaching what exactly is momentum. Not that easy. Let me finish. So when the system is doing work, it has to spend its energy, right? So those of you who have written potential energy, kinetic energy, get yourself corrected. It has nothing to do with potential energy or kinetic energy. It's the total internal energy of the system, or the internal energy of the system goes down. Therefore, work done by a system is negative. Clear to all? In contrast, when work is done on the system, right? Who is doing the work? So surrounding is doing the work. That means surrounding is consuming energy, and who is gaining that energy? The system is gaining that energy, right? Therefore, when work is done, internal energy increases, and therefore work is positive. Clear to everyone now? It's not a convention. It has deep-rooted science. Udrija, I will talk to you offline. Yeah, both of you. When you read chemical engineering thermodynamics, the convention that you will follow, that it depends on the sign, on the displacement. See, if you are considering, I don't know what physics, if you are talking about StatMe, it's just the definition if you change in the integral. So most of the time when you talk in physics, you do not worry too much about the concepts and you go by the mathematical definition. So if you just simply replace this minus sign, what you are telling, it changes. It's more of a convention, I guess. I am not that much knowledgeable as most of you are. So kindly send me the text where you have seen this or where you follow this. I don't know what they teach in physics. I'm not a physicist, so I cannot really tell. But as you say that in chemistry or the physical chemistry where you study thermodynamics, work done by a system is considered to be negative. And all I have studied some 50 years back was chemical engineering. And in chemical engineering thermodynamics, I know that work done by a system is considered to be negative, right? And for that, I have a justification because work done by the system is associated. Yeah, so Shayan, I need to sit with all of you or look into what you are telling, and I'm sure I will be able to find out what is the uh, what custom or convention they follow. But as of now, I do not know. I do not know. So once I say I do not know, you won't really find a teacher telling that I do not know. But once I say I do not know, I don't have an answer for that. Sorry about it. I wish I was more knowledgeable to satisfy all your quests and academic thirsts, but you have to stay with me. Okay. Ayush, I mean, it is work done on the system or by the system. I do not know what you mean to say, but here we are talking about, so it's very clearly written. System is doing work, so work done by the system, and that is typically negative, right? Work done on the system is typically positive. So what are the other type of work we know? Yeah, so convention is different. I do not know. I think let's stop this discussion because I cannot give you any headway. So so first thing is I do not consider, again what you are writing, I do not consider that here there is any convention. I do not consider there is any convention out here. It's very clear from the standpoint of internal energy, right? So I am clear with what logic I am following, that it is the change in the sign of the internal energy. Whether the system gains internal energy, that is associated to be positive. Whether the system loses internal energy, that is associated with negative. That's what I am going to follow. Rest of the thing, what you are telling, I will discuss and try to find out what it exactly it is, but I do not often remember what. Okay, so the other type of work can be electrical work. Of course, we know that. So when there is a flow of electricity through a circuit, right? When an electrical current passes through an electrical resistance, we all know that electrical work takes place. And there also there are examples of where the electrical work is positive and where the electrical work is negative. So if the system generates electrical current and the current passes through an electrical resistance outside or an external resistance, then the electrical work is negative. Like if the generator is inside the system, or if the electrical work is done inside the system and electrical current is generated outside, then electrical work is positive. I am rushing now because the class is about to end. So I will pick up from here in the next class. Then one more interesting concept is the concept of shaft work, which as chemical engineers, we won't be using it much, but mechanical engineers very routinely use it. This is nothing but mechanical work. So what exactly is shaft work? I mean, what problem of direct mechanical work do you circumvent by using a rotating shaft? The problem is the DS part. Problem is the DS part. In direct mechanical work, you need to, if you want to achieve higher power or would like to have greater amount of work done, you need to sort of increase the distance significantly, very large distance. That is not possible to achieve. So what you do, you sort of convert the distance or circumvent the problem of large distance by rotation. And that is exactly what you do in a shaft work. So I will write down the expression of shaft work probably in the next class, not now. There is another interesting concept. If how many of you, it is very important. One of you were mentioning about momentum transfer. So in fluid mechanics, it's very, very important. There is a concept of flow work. Again, this is not very conventional in chemical engineering literature, but yeah, all that frequency of rotation, etc., we will take care. I'm not writing it because just 2 minutes or 3 minutes left, so I don't want to. So anybody knows what is flow work? Anyone? Yes or no? This is a terminology which mechanical engineering, hydraulics engineers use a lot, but not chemical engineers that frequently. You know what is flow work? Okay, I will talk about it in detail in the next class. But let me stop the class by giving this example. I thought I will talk about hydroelectricity generation, but I'm running out of time. Work done due to impulse transfer. I don't know. So you have a piston over here. And this is an open pipe through which liquid is entering. So what will happen to the piston? Piston will slowly move up, right? So as the piston moves up, it will perform mechanical work. But why is it performing mechanical work? So what are you doing here? This is, if you look into this part of the figure, if you look into this part of the figure, this is actually a liquid filled tank. This is actually a liquid filled tank. Liquid filled tank with a floating head, with a movable head. So what are you doing here? Are you doing some work here? My question is, at the inlet, are you doing some work? What work? Okay. One last very poor example for today. I can't guarantee that I will stop giving this very stupid examples to make things very easily understandable. Suppose you are getting into a bus. the bus is empty, versus a bus which is fully crowded. Do you get up in the two buses with the same effort? Yeah, Shubham, you have got the correct answer. So if you are getting into a bus which is fully crowded, you actually have to push yourself. So you actually are doing a lot of work. You are spending a lot of your energy. So that is exactly the case for every liquid molecule that is entering. It is entering a space that is already filled up with the molecules. So it has to make space for itself. Somehow it has to consume some energy, right? And get into this liquid pool. It is not leading to any movement, physical movement of any boundary. So it's not mechanical work. But there is an energy penalty associated with movement, inward movement of this liquid. And this is what sometimes mechanical engineers call as flow work. And what is the manifestation? As more and more liquid gets in from here, and if you now have a piston, you can have a situation where there is no piston. So the piston slowly goes up. So this is a classic example, a beautiful example of interconversion of flow work into mechanical work. So the last part I rushed, and I will start from here. Thank you very much. Have a nice weekend.